Isn't it insane how one can be thinking about any stupid idea, joke, while one is driving this big machine that can possibly be a lethal weapon, where a lack of attention at any point can kill you or can kill someone else. Isn't it kind of unbelievable how literally your mind and your body is so confident that it can handle such a complex task, such as driving, and also being aware of your surroundings, checking the mirrors, and knowing how much pressure to actively put on the pedal to go at a certain speed, while your mind is distracted with a text message, with gossip, with something that has hardly any meaning. But your body is so on top of driving that you can let it drive on its own. Your eyes are watching what's important to watch, and whenever there is an urgency, your body actually pulls your consciousness, boom, back to the present, and it puts your attention immediately on right what is in front of you. That is amazing. Your mind and your body are so, how do you say, confident about their skills that they allow you to just wander off while your body is and your mind is taking care of what's in front of you. So the truth of that is we are able to do that because there is a particular relationship, a particular pattern of communication between your mind, your consciousness, and your body that allows us to engage in completely difficult tasks that require a lot of cognition, a lot of thought, but your mind is actually able to separate it from you and do this task without you. If it wasn't because I was a targeted individual in gang stalking, I would be completely ignorant of how my mind works. And the only reason that I was able to escape my gang stalking was because I understood how my mind worked. My mind was turned against me. And it felt like my mind was another person because it spoke to me. I trained my mind to speak to me as if it was someone else. Or gang stalkers made me train my mind to be my worst nightmare. And even though it was awful, it was also the most amazing experience because thanks to it, I was able to understand the mind like I have never before. Now, I can have a conversation with my mind like if it was someone else. Hello, welcome back. My name is Anonymous, and in this channel, we talk about gang stalking, manipulation, and now I'm gonna add something else, which is gonna be pretty much on how to work with your mind. And in order for us to be able to understand how to work with our mind, we need to understand the relationship of the mind, your body, and consciousness. And for me to explain this concept, I have to use an example something that is incredibly complex, such as driving, as a method or as a tool to explain to you the relationship between the consciousness, the mind, and the body. So the first thing that we have to clear up is that your consciousness is not your mind. Your consciousness is completely by itself. It has no emotion. The emotions are produced by the body. And the body is what tells when a particular sensation in itself has no meaning. It's only a sensation. But because these sensations happen, these particular sensations happen whenever there is something that is detrimental for you, something that you should be offended by, something that says that someone is making fun of you. We have tied these physiological sensations to a negative experience. So whenever you say I am angry, it is not that you're angry. Your consciousness doesn't feel anger. Your body produces a particular sensation, and this sensation you interpret it as anger. Same thing with happiness. You feel sensations that are good, that feel nice. But even though it's only a sensation, you interpret it as nice because you are maybe looking at something beautiful. But what is actually deciding that is beautiful is you. Which is why people can be looking at the same thing, like a flower. And even though they're looking at the same thing, one consciousness decides, oh, it's ugly. That's the ugliest flower I have ever seen. And another person can think that is the most beautiful thing they have ever seen. So consciousness in itself is what decides what emotion your body is going to produce. For example, when someone has a temper, the same situation, you put a person that has a volatile temper, that gets offended easily, and a person with tough skin. Even though it is the same situation, the physiological response to the same situation is completely different degrees on the spectrum of the sensation of anger. So it is not the body who decides what to get angry about. It is the consciousness that decides what to get angry about. It is you, the self, the immovable part of your body, your soul. Now that we have cleared that up, let's continue with our analogy of driving in order for me to be able to explain the relationship between the mind, the body, and consciousness. So the mind is what connects the senses to what connects the body to the consciousness. Well, I'm actually still trying to decipher this. But the mind, no, wait. The consciousness has a direct connection to the body. Because in the end, it is consciousness that decides. And the connection of the consciousness to the body is much stronger than the mind's connection to the body. So consciousness has a direct and very strong connection to the body, and it overpowers the mind at any moment. Now, the body is always sending continuous signals to the consciousness, immediate signals to the consciousness. For example, I'm driving, right? And I see that my car is getting a little bit out of the lane, so I do a little adjustment of the steering wheel. So I'm in the present. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm actually using my consciousness to tell you about what I'm actually experiencing right now. My mind right now is connected and recording and making sure and comparing, how do you say, realities to previous experiences. For example, I have driven through here a lot of times, and I know that I have to stay in the lines. However, if I'm getting too close to a car, right, and I see bright red lights, my mind is gonna analyze the differences between every single time that I have made it safely and the one right now, or the hypothetical reality where there is a strong red light in front of me. Then it's gonna compare it where my mind is gonna analyze it, and it's gonna be, okay, well, this car is getting too close with a strong, and it has the stoplights turned on, and you can tell that they're pushing the brakes hard because the car is getting closer to mine and the brakes are shining really bright. So let's say that I'm really focused on doing this. My mind is gonna pull my conscious mind it's gonna pull it out of me trying to explain this to you, and it's gonna bring it right in the present, and it's gonna put my consciousness straight into the situation, and it's gonna get rid of everything that my mind was thinking of. So the phone is not gonna exist. I'm gonna be here, and my mind is not gonna be busy with any other process. It's gonna have me right here in the present, and it's gonna superpower every one of my senses, every one of my senses, yeah. And I'm gonna be hypersensitive to everything, which is, in that moment, adrenaline is gonna shoot up, so that I could react fast. And then let's say that if my consciousness decides, oh shoot, yes, this is crazy, my heart is gonna start beating really fast, and then boom, I'm gonna use the adrenaline to slam on my brakes. And that is how the mind and the body communicate. The mind is always analyzing. The mind is always analyzing what's going around you. The mind knows that if I'm gonna look, when I look that way, I look at my rear view mirror, I look at my top mirror, and then I look at the front, and then I do the turn signal, and then I turn. Like, all of those motions, my mind has them memorized, because I have done it so many times in so many different situations that my mind is pulling up the most likely, probable, and safest mode of conduct. Turning. The most the movement patterns that has done again and again that have resulted in me getting to work safely, comfortably, and relaxed. Your body knows your nervous system, your body, and your mind right now are working together. Well, mine. So that I can drive and talk to you at the same time. That is how supremely confident the connection between the mind and the body are. They have supreme confidence in their ability to conduct such a complex task, such as driving, that they're literally like, okay, yeah, we got this. You talk on your phone, you record your video. And that is amazing, because it is literally such a complex task that requires so much cognition. The movements of my eyes are also programmed. My nervous system literally knows exactly how much to activate, how much to contract my gastrocnemius in order to make the vehicle brake in a manner that is soft, so that my car doesn't yank, so that I am able to have this conversation with you, to record this video. And it knows how to do this because your mind is continuously recording every action that you make. The first time that I was trying to make one of these videos where I wanted to record and talk and drive, it was a little difficult. Because I had to be aware that the camera was at the right angle so that I would be able to turn. And that my filter wouldn't go off. Of course, there's times where I'm going to forget. And that is because, like the refreshing, the software kind of got a little stale. Maybe because I had to I was driving without this for a while. And I forgot. So I had to just do a little update, a little actualization of the software, of the programming. And I hate to call it programming because it makes me sound like some type of some type of tinfoil type of person. But in reality, that is what it is. So, to finish off, we're gonna do a little review. The connection between consciousness and the mind and the body is direct. And the mind and the body is continuous, it's direct all the time. Now, the mind is continuously looking, recording, comparing. And whenever the mind knows that it got this, such as driving, it gives permission to the mind to think about whatever it wants to do or do another task. Because the mind is supremely confident and certain that whenever it needs you, it's going to pull up your consciousness back to the present moment for you to do any necessary adjustment. And then when it doesn't need you, it's going to be like, okay, you can go. I got this. So, even though you possibly, more highly likely, identify with your mind, because of gang stalking gave me, I have to learn. To understand gang stalking, I have to learn how to understand my mind. And for that, I have to program my mind to speak to me like if I'm someone else, in a third person. So, that's exactly how my mind and I operate. And it's very helpful because I can actually ask it to do things and it will do them. Like, let's say for example, I'm having an unpleasant thought, or I'm thinking about drug consumption. I'm like, hey, I literally just have to think to it. Don't bring up any of these memories right now. I don't need them. And it will literally stop. And that is because the relationship with my mind has evolved. It adapted. It created the adaptations that needed to happen for me to be able to thrive when I was getting gang stalked. My mind didn't know what the hell was going on either. But the mind is so clever that even though it might take a little while, years maybe, to get me out of it took it years to understand exactly what was going on, because my mind was literally put against me. I was running around for years with my mind being my nemesis. And my consciousness had to understand what was going on. And until it understood it, I was able to pull it back to work with me. And on my last video, I talked to you about cigarettes. I was like, I haven't smoked in a while. And the craving for a cigarette came aloof. It kind of began swimming. And I smoked it, And I had the thought. Well, it wasn't my thought, because I've never thought about this. I never thought about respect for my mind. But my mind literally spoke to me and told me, you need to start respecting your mind. All of this shit happened because you didn't respect me. My mind literally told me the entire time they were getting gang stalked, I was telling you, stop doing drugs. And that's true. That is the one theme that was continuously consistent. My mind was literally telling me, stop using drugs. Stop using drugs. Don't use drugs. It was telling me that. And then when I got it on my side, it was like, yeah, well, that's why you were so manipulatable. That's why I was so weak, because you weren't sleeping enough, and because you were working your ass off, and you were working out and doing all these things, and you were never eating enough. And this is gonna sound weird, but my mind and I are now like this. I had a thought of, I'm not gonna lie, I had a thought of continuing drug use. But again, I was like, no. I have a reverence and a respect for my mind that I didn't have before. Because I know what my mind is capable of. I know that it is not only I, but it is a part of me that it feels like it has its own cognition, its own, like it has, like it's alive, like it has its own consciousness. It's the strangest thing. But anyways, thank you for watching. That's what I wanted to tell you about the relationship between the mind. Oh, and yeah, I already explained to you how the mind works, how the consciousness has a direct link to the body, and the mind is always like the eye of Sauron, watching and analyzing everything. The mind is literally like your spirit self. When you imagine yourself dancing, and you can almost feel your hand moving, that is because you're playing with your sensory inputs of the mind. It's beautiful once you learn how you can actually communicate with your mind. It's the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. And well, your mind deserves respect. It deserves for you to feed it with material that is going to help it get stronger, that is going to help it create better decisions. Because when you're I feel like if you're just watching things that are not beneficial to you, I feel that your mind kind of gets bored. So cultivate your mind. Cultivate it to play with concepts, ideas, so that it will help you grow as a wiser and stronger human being. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you feel that I am helping you in one way or another, please subscribe, like, and share. How is your relationship with your mind? I would like to know. I find it fascinating. Please write that in the comments so you have time. I have to go to work now. Bye.